Belief in witchcraft is universal. It has both negative and positive responses. In a neutral sense, witchcraft is sorcery, the magical manipulation of forces by casting spells and conjuring or invoking spirits. It has been used by humankind since prehistoric times in an effort to control the environment and enhance daily life. Throughout history, witches have been feared because they were believed to be evil, in consort with the devil, and able to fly through the night on a broomstick and shapeshift into magical creatures. The same women who were sought after, healers, midwives, the wise women and crones, for help were the ones who were also feared for their knowledge. In truth, witches are in tune with nature and with themselves. They are men and women who are dark and light, day and night, healer and justice all in one. To be a witch is to be a keeper of balance, the essential witch. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Essential Witch. I am your host, Ravenwings, and tonight we are going to be covering witchcraft, but in the kitchen. Because I have covered the earth magic stuff, so I wanted to cover some of the witchcraft stuff that we do in the kitchen. There's always been a deep-seated spirituality as part of food preparation. When cooking is combined with ceremonial significance, it transforms the ordinary task into an extraordinary connection with the divine source. And that could be if you're working with a goddess, if you're working with just deities or energies or whatever it is you work with. In many recipes, there are many edible flowers and medicinal herbs which date back to the Middle Ages and even earlier, when ancient witches used them in their recipes and in their healing purposes. Except for foods and herbs that were grown locally, many were quite expensive to purchase, and most of the times the lady of the home had the key to the herb cabinet. The village midwife also held many secret uses for flowers and herbs, and most were passed down through generations. Meals in those days were heavily spiced to add flavor to otherwise really bland foods, and sometimes even to cover up the taste of decaying foods. There was no way to keep foods cold or preserved the way there are today. Many meals were made within the seasons, not only to increase the spiritual benefits of a recipe, but also eating the seasonal foods at their prescribed times offered nutrients and ensured the highest medicinal potency. To ensure the most potent magic, you should consecrate your kitchen, your stove, and your utensils. And that does not mean just once. That means anytime you're going to be doing magic in your kitchen. Consecrating your tools is a means of purifying them against past energies and intents and infusing them with your own vibrations and purposes. Using the elements of salt, water, fire, and air, you'll be able to consecrate your space and your tools. You can do this in whatever fashion that is most appropriate for you, in your path and in your beliefs. If it feels right, then just do it. That's always been my motto with anything you're going to do. If it feels right, do it. If it doesn't feel right, don't. It's just as easy as that. No one can tell you the exact way to make your space sacred to you. It's also very helpful, considering it may be a difficult process if you normally cast a circle before you start working. Kitchens can be quite hard to cast a circle in, therefore making your whole kitchen a sacred place. And cleansing it before beginning will help your space be protected and workable. There are many different ways you can cleanse your kitchen naturally. I'm going to give you a few examples, but remember, this is your kitchen and your space, so use whatever method is comfortable for you. While sage can be burned in a fireproof bowl, you can say a prayer while burning it and letting the smoke carry the purification around the room. You can grow sage and rosemary in your kitchen. That's also helpful for protection, and rosemary also aids in memory. And it is an all-purpose herb that can be substituted for any other herb in magic. So they do say that sniffing rosemary actually does improve your memory. Garlic is another very popular herb of protection. You can hang strings of them in your kitchen to keep it protected as well. Singing bowls. These can be expensive, but they are also a powerful way to remove negativity. To use it, you hit the edge of the bowl, and trace the edge with a wooden stick counterclockwise to remove negative energies. When using it in a room, you should also walk around the room counterclockwise while making it sing. Salt, such as rock salt or sea salt, which can be purchased just about anywhere, can be added to water, and with your fingertips or a small brush, you can put it on walls or windows and doors to keep unwanted energies out as well. Or you can use it in a spray bottle. Spray your walls, floors, and furniture, even yourself if you want to cleanse the space. If you're feeling negative, a sea salt bath can actually help remove those energies from you as well. So if you're not in the right frame of mind to be practicing and you feel that there are a lot of negative energies, a sea salt bath is actually really good for your skin too. So I mean, it's a win-win. You can't beat that. It's a win-win situation. You can hang or put out crystals in your windows or doors. Crystals do clear unwanted energies and attract wanted energies depending on the color and how they've been charged. You want to keep your kitchen clean as well. That is a big one. Before beginning your work and during your work, keep your countertops and your sinks clean as well as your stovetops. Everything vibrates energy and everything reacts to it in a certain way. That is why aromatherapy works so well. So using scented candles, air fresheners, scented dish soaps, even other cleaning products for aromatherapy will help keep clearer energies in the room as well. Sunlight is another big thing. This will give you a natural clean and a positive energy. Make sure that you close all your curtains or blinds at night as to not invite unwanted energies to come in. Open them during the day to invite the sunlight in and close them at night. When you cook, you want to declare yourself as an artist at work, handling each ingredient with loving care. You want to see and feel the life forces from each food and herb you work with. Allow your ego to step aside and make room for the divination and magic to take place. Inspiration will direct you one way or another. I have a tendency to just grab things when I'm in the kitchen and making a meal even. I will just grab as I go. And hubby will come in and go, "What were you having for dinner?" And I'm like, "I have no idea. I'll figure it out when I'm done." And 9 times out of 10, thank the gods, it comes out edible. So, which is a plus, but you want to work with your intuitions and stuff. Inspiration is going to direct you. It really is. Making foods with love and harmony will raise the vibration of the ingredients and will invoke the most innate healing powers. You want to cook not only to satisfy hunger, but to quench the soul, searching for comfort. Hence why we tend to gravitate towards these so-called comfort foods when we're sick or lonely, depressed, etc. Take the time to make your kitchen a loving and welcome space. Even without a formal ritual, you can still create positive energy and divination each time you cook. The most important ingredient you can add to any dish is your intent. And we say this, about everything. It's always the intent. It's the intent in what you're doing. There are a number of things you can do to enhance the magical atmosphere in your kitchen as well. And I had a question about this not too long ago about kitchen altars. So I want to cover that really quick. Having a kitchen altar, your stovetop is equal to the hearth of the old, where most of your food is going to be prepared. You can create a small altar with items that can be moved as you need to. You can also designate a space in your kitchen if you have the room to, or if you have a kitchen witch doll, and I'll tell you about the legend of the witch doll later. You can have wooden spoons with symbols on them, and I see them in a lot of the selling groups that are out there. They have the wooden spoons with the symbols on them. Offering bowls, a candle, a miniature cauldron, crystals and seashells even. Stones that are particularly useful in the kitchen include clusters of clear or smoky crystals, to combat the radiation given off by some of your electrical appliances. Citrine is in the eating area that will help with digestion. Rose and amethyst quartz promote harmony as well. So rose quartz will also bring blessings to food preparation and inspire creativity when you're cooking with plants and herbs. Photos of loved ones who taught you how to cook, like for me it was my grandmother, are another good example of things that you can put on your kitchen altar. You do not have to make a kitchen altar. My kitchen altar consists of a potpourri burner, a tea light type of burner that I use water and obviously fire with the tea light, and I can put in herbs and stuff. I can even add salt for earth. It's just all in one. It sits on my kitchen table because most of my prep work is done on my kitchen table because I don't have a lot of counter space. So that's how I work my altar that way. But I do have a kitchen witch, which I'm going to get into the story of that later. There's no wrong way to make up your altar, so you just want to let your imagination run wild. Just whatever feels right to you. I mean, you could add garlic, and hang garlic and part of your kitchen as part of your kitchen altar. It's also going to work for your protection. You want to make sure your herbs are readily accessible. If you're using dried herbs and stuff like that to cook, make them easily accessible. Mine sit right next to my stove. If you cook with them, you want to display them in decorative jars, which I do. Just make sure they're not in direct sunlight or they will lose their potency. So you want to make sure that if you are going to do it, that if you have clear jars, put them in a cabinet if you can. I have clear jars, but they're not in sunlight at all. The sun does not hit on them at all, so I leave them there. If possible, you can have live plants in pots to use all year long and keep fresh veggies on hand. I have cilantro, basil, and parsley right now. Hopefully I'll have more, but that's what I have growing in the apartment right now. If you can paint your walls in colors that are comforting and happy. Choose a color that makes you feel good. Earth tones are soothing, yellows are happy and bright, and green brings prosperity and abundance. I painted my kitchen in one of my apartments in a soft lavender because I have a wine motif that is a big part of my kitchen. And it looked amazing, and I always loved spending time in there. Whatever color, and that there's no right or wrong way to do this either. You can, if you can't paint, you like strawberries, start doing your kitchen in a strawberry motif. Make it happy and a place you want to be in. Keeping cookbooks and recipes organized and where you can find them is also a big deal. You can have a separate book of shadows, so to speak. Like I said before, mine is called the Book of Swallows, where I keep my magical recipes. As with all magic, when approaching kitchen magic, you must have a clear goal in mind. You want to match your intent to a food. A healing spell would work well with a broth or a chicken soup, something to that effect. Cupcakes can be used for luck. Your instincts will tell you what's a good match. Then you want to find a recipe or make one yourself up. Personal energy that goes into the dish creation, the better. That's you want as much personal energy as you can in there. Food colorings can also be used as well. Colors have their own strong associations to kitchen magic. A pink cupcake may have a different meaning than a yellow or a green. Some of the basic ingredients and uses in kitchen magic are peppermint. Must have peppermint in your kitchen. This is good for aiding in sleep. You can make a tea and add peppermint to it. And that can be herb peppermint. You can use a peppermint stick. Either way, you're using peppermint. Sage is another big one. This is used for wisdom. Paprika can be used to overcome obstacles. Garlic, of course. You want to use that in your protection spells. Rosemary is a great herb for love and purification, and apples will also work for love, so you could make an apple pie for love. Lavender is for peace, and it is also an amazing relaxation herb, so you could make lavender cupcakes as a relaxation thing. Bananas are used for fertility and prosperity, so banana pancakes, which are really good. I like banana pancakes. Could work for either prosperity or fertility. Cinnamon is used for spells which involve success and can be added to any spell for a boost. And yes, peppermint extract will work as long as it's not imitation. I try to not use imitation stuff. I know it's the intent behind it, but I'm a foodie and I like real stuff in my food. I'm sure with the intent behind it, the imitation would work, but I would highly suggest using actual peppermint extract if you're going to, or actual vanilla extract, not the imitation stuff, because it just doesn't taste the same either. Basil, this is another great herb for protection. Black tea is great for courage. Orange for divination. Lemon is used for friendship. And my cat will attest to this, catnip for happiness. When you give her catnip, she's very, very happy. Peach is great for longevity. Cabbage is actually very good for luck. And celery for mental powers. So the next time you're having cream cheese and celery or peanut butter and celery, you can be using that for the mental powers. When you're cooking, you always want to keep the goal in the back of your mind. Stir clockwise for good luck. Never stir with a knife. It's considered bad luck. You may want to even make up a short incantation or sing along to a song as you're working your magic. You can incorporate magical practices in all of your cooking. If you're just making a sandwich, spread the condiments in a single for your purpose. Bake a bread, add herbs or spices that correspond with your magical needs. Kitchen witches have many tools to work with that are similar to those you would work with in other paths. Knives are used in the same fashion that you would use your athame or your bowline. Your wooden spoons are very similar to your wands. Your cups are like chalices. Your pots and pans would be your cauldrons. There are many other appliances now in the home that did not exist in the days of old, like microwaves and food processors. So I'm going to give you a list of different items and what they are best suited for in Kitchen Magic. If you own a blender, blenders are good for mingling with others or stirring up energy. So if you need to stir up energy in a spell, you could make a smoothie in a blender and use that as your spell. Cookbooks are used for excellence and virtue. Your cookie tin is for the sweet things in life and pleasures. The crispers in your refrigerator, these are for invigoration and restoration. Cupboards that hold all your pots and pans and dishes. This is for saving, supplies, and providence. Your dish towels are actually used for structure and determining precision. Dishwasher, if you have one. I don't. I am the dishwasher. But if you have one, that is for leisure. It also has the water element and convenience. Your drain. This is actually for troubles, burdens, and bad habits because you can wash them down the drain. Your drawers that you keep your silverware and your stuff in. Hidden matters and material goods. Food wrap, such as your saran wraps, such as your aluminum foils and stuff like that. These are for prudence, conservation, control, and secrets. For your fork, this is for piercing, penetrating, and perception. Also, you can use your fork when you're making gingerbread men who you have turned into voodoo dolls. You can actually pick your little voodoo doll with your fork. A funnel. Funnels are good for flow, unhindered order, and coaxing energy along. Your knife, obviously, cutting away, sharpness of mind, and separation. Measuring cups are great for evaluation, allotment, and caution. Your microwave. This is for acceleration and legal expedition. Your oven, for passion, fertility, and of course the fire element. A pitcher, just a regular pitcher you're going to put tea or lemonade in, is for abundance, invigoration, and refreshment. Your refrigerator is good for cooling temper, preservation, and protection. Your rolling pin, that's good for discipline, moderation, and control. A sifter, like you would use for flour, sorting out confusion, organization, and filtering negativity. A spatula, for sensibility, recycling, and changing directions. A steamer is good for slow processes and even temperament. Your tea kettle, divination, alertness, kinship, and health. A thermometer is good for observation, skills, and analysis. A whisk is excitement and increased bounty. And your window is for the winds of change, refreshment, and vital energy. Your serving spoon, when blessed with harmony, is a good choice for serving out portions to your family. Your mixing spoon is good for stirring up energy into your food. Your straining spoons can be hung in your kitchen to filter out negativity. I did want to tell you a little bit about the legend of the Kitchen Witch doll. The Kitchen Witch was originated in Scandinavian countries, years ago. It is said that she has magical powers to bring good luck and to assure a smooth running kitchen. Hang her in your kitchen, pots won't boil over, breads will rise, jellies will gel, eggs won't stick, cakes won't fall, coffee won't be bitter, gravies won't lump, and cookies won't burn. That is the story of the Kitchen Witch. She is supposed to protect all of your food. So, and I do have a little kitchen witch and a broom that I hang up in my kitchen. She's kind of cute. So, that is, it was originated in Scandinavia. So, just so you know, I like putting little things out there. There are also a few other wives' tales and legends that pertain to kitchen witchery as well. If an apple bursts in the oven while you're baking it, good news is on the way for the cook. If an egg cracks while you're boiling it, that is a sign that visitors are expected. When rice forms a ring around a pot while it's cooking, the cook will become rich. Now, I've had rice form a ring around the pot. I'm still waiting to be rich. But these are old wives' tales and stuff, so. Knocking over the sugar bowl is a sign of money. Spilling pepper signifies an upcoming fight, while spilling salt is a well-known sign of trouble. You want to throw a pinch of salt or pepper over your left shoulder to avoid the hex. Accidentally mixing up the salt and the sugar in a recipe is a sweet sign and predicts good news. Forgetting to add a spice while cooking signifies trouble ahead, and you must add that spice as soon as possible and before you eat it. Bubbles in your morning coffee predict money. If they are near the side of the cup you drink from, the money will come soon. If they are on the opposite side of the cup, it will come slowly. If you add a lot of water to boiling food, rain is on the way. Also, if the coffee pot boils over, it's also a sure sign for rain. Crossing knives when setting the table foretells a long journey. A piece of bread falling from someone's hand means a beggar will soon be knocking on your door. Spilling water on a tablecloth signifies rain is on its way. If you drop a glass and it doesn't break, this is proof you have friends that would go through fire for you. Silverware dropped at the table indicates the impending arrival of a visitor. A fork means a male and a spoon means a female. If you knock a chair over while you're getting up from the table, it's a sign you've lied while you were sitting there. If a bird flies into your house for no apparent reason, it's a sign of good luck and fortune for the owner, and can also be a sign of news from a distance. Snakes are good luck. One crawling on your doorstep means that someone from another country will enter your home. A snake in the garden brings good luck or fortune. Kitchen witchery, though, is not always about food, however. Most kitchen witches are healers as well, and make healing salves, tinctures, tonics, and more right there in their kitchens. Some will also make soap and candles and crafts as well, but for right now I'm going to stick to the bit about the healing side of a kitchen witch. Herbs in healing are known to have certain medicinal properties. Learning what they are is just the first step. Then you need to learn how to use them in the correct amounts and with the correct purpose. For this reason, I highly suggest not experimenting in this area without supervision from someone who is either an herbalist, a holistic MD, and always talk to your doctor before trying any herbal remedies or supplements. You will be amazed at how many herbs can react negatively to each other, not to mention prescription and over-the-counter drugs and medicines. They can also cause serious side effects and even death. So this is for informational purposes only. I never recommend anybody start taking herbs without checking with a doctor first. Plus, with herbs, there are known allergies. We'll get hay fever and stuff like that. If they're edible and you know they're edible, that's one thing. If you're playing with something that you have no idea about, then I would suggest no. Also, if you are going to be taking herbs in an herbal tea even, check with your doctor first if you are on any kind of medication, and that includes over-the-counter meds, including aspirin. Aspirin is a blood thinner, and there are herbs out there that can affect a blood thinner. So you want to make sure that you check into that first. I always say that. Properties of herbs. I'm going to give you a few herbs and some of their properties just so that this is a beginner course. This is not a go out there and do this. This is just so you have some kind of an idea. Antibacterials. Your barberry, your sage, and your thyme all carry antibacterial properties. Antifungal properties are barberry, cardamom, and thyme. These carry the antifungal properties. The antihistamine type of properties come from peppermint and elderberry. So if you are working into becoming, more of a kitchen witch and start messing with things and you want to make an antihistamine, peppermint and elderberry would be something that you would look into. Antimicrobial. Ginger, licorice, elderberry, thyme, and anistia. And you got to bear with me. Some of these herbs just tongue-tie me. An antispasmodic would be black cohosh and hawthorn. an antiviral, licorice root, lemon balm, and thyme. Some of your astringents are yarrow, raspberry leaf, sage, red root. To relieve spasms, your carmatives, chamomile, peppermint, yarrow, cardamom, fenugreek, ginger, and thyme. For soothing and moistening your mucous membranes, you can use marshmallow root, licorice root, and plantain. As an expectorant, licorice root, ginger, plantain, red root, and thyme. And for an immune stimulant, echinacea, ginger, and elderberry. So there are different properties, and a lot of these websites that you go into and these herb books and stuff like that will have the properties of the herbs, and you need to know these types of things when you're going to start working with the healing section and stuff. Plus, if you're using them to make, let's say, a healing chicken soup and you want to add something into it, it's good to know what properties, these herbs have, and you'll know extra herbs that you can throw in later on. There are also different uses for different types of illnesses as well. So I want to give you a few right now. For colds, you can use heat. A strong and steamy cup of ginger tea with honey can help fight the common cold well. Tincture made with burdock root, elderberry, fenugreek, or horseradish also works well for colds too. Teas made with ginger, sage, chamomile, or a tea made from yarrow, thyme, and ginger can also help with your cold symptoms. And if you want to use aromatherapy as a formula, you can use eucalyptus mixed with thyme, cinnamon, and lavender, and that's very soothing for a cold. When you're dealing with the flu, which would be the same as a cold, you could use some of the same things as a cold. The ginger tea with honey will help aid that. A tincture made with yarrow, elderberry, cardamom, echinacea, and licorice root. And you can also add bone set if you have like bone chilling pain. You can make a tea with ginger, linden blossom, and yarrow to help. And an aromatherapy approach would be the use of thyme, eucalyptus, geranium, oregano, frankincense, and cinnamon. So it's not always about actually ingesting these herbs. You can actually use the aromatherapy steam method with the towel over your head. If you have a stomach virus, teas made from yarrow, chamomile, licorice, cardamom, raspberry leaf, or marshmallow root can help with the burning or the irritation. A tincture can be made with yarrow, cardamom, chamomile, and blue vervain to be very soothing. For sinusitis, a tea of ginger, peppermint, and plantain will help, as well as a tincture made from barberry, echinacea, licorice root, fenugreek, or horseradish will also help. If there is a green discharge, you can make a tea with barberry root and elecampane. If there's a yellow discharge, barberry and golden seal. If it's clear, sage and raspberry leaf. So there are different herbs you want to use for different nasal drainages, I guess would be the nicest way to put that. For aromatherapy steam inhalers, that would work best for you. This could be done with hot water and essential oils in a bowl with a towel over your head. You can use thyme, cinnamon, chamomile, lavender, eucalyptus, and rosemary for that to help with the sinusitis stuff. Headache and pain relief. For a worrywart headache, you can use a tea of chamomile, skullcap, lemon balm, and meadowsweet. If heat is needed, you can add ginger. If cooling is needed, you can add peppermint. If it is a noggin-numbing headache, you can try an aromatherapy formula of 3 drops of chamomile, 3 drops of lavender, 2 drops of eucalyptus, and 1 drop of peppermint to a ½ ounce of carrier oil. You're going to apply that at the temples every 15 minutes and inhale deeply until the pain subsides. If you're a nervous person and you're having, those stressy nerve days, you can try a cup of chamomile, peppermint, lemon balm, licorice root, skullcap, and rose tea. If support for the heart is needed, you can add hawthorn berries. To prepare this tea, you want to add a licorice root to water and bring it to a boil. You'll turn the heat down and let it simmer covered for 30 minutes. Then you want to turn off the heat and add all the other herbs in. Let it steep for 5 minutes. Then you want to strain it, and then you sip the tea. You can also make a tincture for nerves as well and anxiety. You would use motherwort, blue vervain, oats, and basil. For a sore throat, general tincture would be burdock root, echinacea, and licorice root. If there's swelling in your lymph nodes, you can use red root, burdock root, and cleavers. A soothing tea would be marshmallow root or sage with honey. And while we're on the subject of herbs, I also wanted to add a little bit of info in here to do with planting and harvesting, as well as storing and drying and all that stuff. For those of you who can't afford or do not have the room for an outdoor garden, you can consider indoor gardening. Be sure to plant the seeds in the proper phases of the moon, and you want to put the pots in window boxes. Put them in pots or window boxes so that you can get the light to them. Situate these plants where they will receive some sunshine. Glazed terracotta pots work the best for herbs. 3 hours after watering a plant in an unglazed earth pot, it will be dry inside, and plastic pots are not favored at all. If it's still warm outside and you can, take the plants outside once a week and spray them with a light mist of water. Allow them to receive direct sunlight on a regular basis if they need sunshine, because your window glasses and your screens will screen out some of the vital energies from the sun for the plant. Artificial grow lights now in use by some gardeners are fine, but not for magical herbs. Just so you know, if you're going to just use these herbs for cooking and nothing else and not use them for magic at all, that's fine. But for magical herbs, they actually need the sunlight. Even though the garden has been moved indoors, many of the old procedures can still be followed. With a magic garden to be just that, it's more than a collection of plants with mysterious and fabled pasts. A place where energy meets energy and where old forgotten magic of the earth lies waiting within the enchanting or sacred herb growing. It is a glade where birds sing and dews collect from the moon pools. It is tightly curled leaves and scented flowers. It's a place where the wise, if they kneel upon the earth, can listen carefully and can hear the heartbeat of nature murmuring softly in a single leaf or a single stalk of one of the billion plants nurtured by our blessed planet. Witches respect all forms of life, including plants, especially kitchen witches. Fortunately, herbs are hopelessly self-sacrificing. They were scattered on our planet to nourish and to aid us in our practice of magic, but never fail to ask permission from any plant for which you wish to pluck a leaf or a flower, or to leave something behind as a payment for taking part of that plant. And you never want to take more than 2/3 of a plant. You will kill it. If you take more than 2/3 of a plant, it will absolutely die. And when it comes to roots, try not to take the roots if you don't have to. If it's a root plant that has several roots and you've decided you need that root and it's got several and you can replant it afterwards and bury something with it like a crystal, then do that. But try to stay away from the roots as much as humanly possible, because that is the life source of the plant. And if you are buying instead of growing your own, make sure you're buying from a reputable dealer. There are a lot of herbs out there now that are in danger of becoming extinct to where we won't have them anymore. So you want to make sure that whoever you're dealing with is definitely harvesting these herbs in the correct manner so that there is more to come and they're not just raping the planet of the herb to where we don't have it anymore. If you are pregnant, do not use any herbs whatsoever. You are wanting to drink a chamomile tea, I don't care what it is, which chamomile is one of the most gentle herbs out there. Check with your doctor first. There are herbs out there that can really, really, really affect a pregnancy. Harvesting herbs. If you're going to be harvesting your own, instead of buying from the store or buying from a vendor or whatever the case may be, if you're going to be harvesting fresh herbs, the best time to harvest is before the herbs have gone to flower. But if you do miss this, don't worry too much. Just remove the flowers whenever you see them popping up. It's a good practice throughout the growing season. Herbs will be stronger and tastier if the energy goes back into the plant and not into the flower. Remember to thank your plants and ask permissions to cut them, and don't take more than 1/3 of an entire plant each harvest. The best time to cut your plants is mid-morning, when the dew has already evaporated, but wilting from the midday afternoon sun hasn't begun to start yet. If you like to garden by the moon, the best time to harvest is just about any time during the waning moon. You also want to remember not to harvest your perennials too late in the season. These need time to recover before your first frost. Annuals, on the other hand, you may want to do a final harvest before the first frost, at which time you will harvest the entire plant. Planning on using your herbs fresh, just run them under some cold water, shake off the excess water. You can wrap them in paper towels and store them in the fridge. If you're planning on using the herbs in a day or two, just put them in the fridge as is, and wash them off before you plan on using them. This way they'll last a little longer. Do not wrap them in plastic or use baggies. They will wilt and go bad quickly. They need air to circulate around them to keep them as fresh as possible for as long as possible. There are also several ways to dry herbs depending on the type of the herb. If you're drying herbs with large leaves, such as your basil, your sage, and your parsley, it's best to tie the bunches together with some cotton twine and dry in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight where there's a good amount of air circulating, like a basement or a barn or just somewhere where you have a fan even. You can hang them in the kitchen, so you have them right there when you need them for cooking and stuff like that. Or you could just hang them on your clothesline as long as it's not in direct sunlight when you're doing it. If you're drying culinary herbs outside or in your basement, it's very dusty. You may want to consider covering them with paper bags. Dusty herbs don't really taste all that good. Depending on the herb and its water content and how much air you have circulating, your herbs should dry in 2 to 4 weeks. If you're drying herbs with seed heads, such as dill, coriander, and fennel, it's best to put those herbs in a paper sack and tie the stems together at the top of the sack. You can shake them periodically to loosen the seeds. They should dry in about 3 weeks. Another way to dry herbs is by using screens. This takes up a lot of room, so if you don't have a lot of room, that's a little bit harder. If you're going to do them on screens, you just remove the leaves from the stems and you lay them out on the screens, and the screens are propped up so that air can circulate around them, and they dry in just a few days. You can consider freezing your herbs, especially if space is an issue. It's really easy. You just take a bunch of clean leaves like mint or basil, oregano, anything with the larger leaf. Put these in a food processor with a little bit of water and process. You can pour these into ice cube trays and freeze. Once frozen, you can store them in freezer bags. Make sure you label them, because once they're processed, they're all going to look a lot like each other. And I don't think you're going to want pineapple mint in your spaghetti sauce. So when you want to add a little pop to your favorite recipe, you can throw in an ice cube, because a standard size ice cube is about a tablespoon of pureed herb. Other than culinary herbs, you may want to consider preserving medicinal herbs as well. This recipe will work with medicinal herbs used topically, like comfrey. It's big and beautiful and works wonders on burns, scrapes, cuts, and generally all boo-boos. You can make a poultice and freeze it to use in the winter, or you can make a salve. You can harvest a bunch of comfrey leaves, shake them well to get off any bugs or stray materials. You use equal parts of compressed leaves to olive oil. So 2 cups of compressed comfrey leaves to 2 cups olive oil. This will make a lot of salve, way more than you'll use in a lifetime. So you don't want to, you can give it away as gifts or sell it or whatever. You put the olive oil and leaves in a pot, let it cook over medium heat, not a boil, for about an hour. Then you let it stand for 24 hours. Strain the comfrey leaves out of the mixture. At this point, for fun, you can add a little interest. You can throw in some lavender flowers. You can add any kind of flowers you want to, basically. And then you add a half a cup of beeswax. The beeswax is very important because it's going to hold it all together and make it easy to apply. You want to heat that on low, stirring just long enough for the wax to melt. And then once the wax is melted, you pour it into your tins or your glass jars or whatever you're going to do. You can keep it in the fridge. And you can normally buy a bag of beeswax pellets at most craft stores. So it's a really easy thing you can make, and you can give it out as gifts or whatever. Once everything is dry, once all your herbs are dry, it's time to store them away for future use. Store your leaves whole and crumble them up right before you use them. They will keep their flavor longer this way. Store in glass jars, preferably dark glass with tight lids. Check them periodically for mold. If your herbs are not completely dry, they will mold, and you will have to throw them out. So you want to make sure that they're completely dry. Make sure you label everything with what it is and the date, because herbs do have an expiration, especially magical herbs. Store your jars in a dark place to keep them fresh. I know some people like to dry their herbs in the oven or even in a microwave. I do not suggest this. Microwave, because magical herbs you don't want in a microwave. I just wouldn't do it. Too much radioactivity and stuff. I feel like the oven just dries them too quickly and makes them far too brittle. It's better to air dry, or even a food dehydrator if you have a food dehydrator that's set up for it. but natural, if you can get them to dry. I mean, I dry mine in a paper towel. I just put them on a paper towel and I cover them with the paper towel and I let them sit there until they're dry. So, I don't know. I just like it that way. They just stay better that way. So I'm going to move back into the food part again. When you're serving all of these wonderful magical meals, make sure your presentation looks as magical as the meal and always add your personal touches to it as well. Add fresh herbs to garnish a soup, a ribbon to decorate a cake, and icing sugar can be used to draw symbols. Cookie cutters come in so many shapes, with crescent moons being both mystical looking and easy to track down. Aphrodite lovers, you can't go wrong with cookie cutter hearts. And while you're not necessarily advocating eating your own voodoo doll, who knows what a homemade gingerbread man might represent. So, I mean, you could even make your own voodoo doll with a gingerbread man. You can go as far as you like with this. That's the one thing about Kitchen Magick. You can do with it as you wish. A plate with a daisy pattern can be used when looking for friendship, for example. If you're cooking a magical meal for two, you might want to think about putting out some colored candles to inspire the mood. Food to inspire self-confidence might have a lot of lovely orange, red, and yellow, or be flavored with chili peppers even. You can even arrange the toppings to resemble the sun to harness courage or power. Witchcraft doesn't have to be solemn, and cooking does not have to be mundane. You want to let your saucepan be your cauldron. Swap your wand in for a cooking spoon or a kitchen knife, and have fun. Get crafty with it and enjoy it. You want to be in that kitchen and enjoying yourself. But that is my show for today. I want to thank you all for coming tonight and listening to me ramble. And I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, and we will see you soon. Have a great night.